All right. Good evening. The time is 6:30, and a quorum of the Conservation Commission being present, I call this meeting to order. I don't see any minutes, so we will go to agenda item A, emergency certification, Linda Gilligan, 30 Regina S. Drive, Assessors Map 109, Lot 6.
So this was a situation where there's a failed Title V. It was followed up by an order from the Health Department to tie into town sewer. Based off of the order to tie in, I followed up with an emergency certification to be ratified by the Conservation Commission. It's just trench work. It's about 20 to 30 feet from BVW, and it's within the 100-year floodplain. I'll coordinate with the contractor performing the work to ensure that there's erosion and sediment controls as necessary, and those are conditions within the emergency certification. But other than that, I have no questions.
All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
No questions.
None for me.
Pretty straightforward. All right. Can I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification, Linda Gilligan, 30 Regina S. Drive, Assessors Map 109, Lot 6?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Agenda item B, another emergency certification. Kenneth and Karen Kieser, 12 Highland View Road, Assessors Map 23, Lot 47.
So a similar situation, failed Title V analysis. Again, the Health Department issued an order to tie into town sewer. It was followed up by an emergency certification. And similar to the last site, it's about 20 to 30 feet away from BVW. I'm in coordination with the contractor who's setting up erosion and sediment controls. And other than that, I have no questions or comments.
My only question is, for the one before this, there's three emergency, or there's conditions. The next two only have the two conditions. Is there any reason for that?
Oh, so the third condition for the first one is because they're within the 100-year floodplain. So I just,
All right.
as the performance standard of the WPA, just to not add fill, I guess.
All right.
So, yeah. So.
Any other questions or comments?
No questions.
None here.
All right. Could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification, Kenneth and Karen Kieser, 12 Highland View Road, Assessors Map 23, Lot 47?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Agenda item C, emergency certification. Carol Rotano, 119 French Street, Assessors Map 9, Lot 9.
Again, similar to the last two sites, failed Title V, followed up, or the Health Department issued an order to tie into the town sewer. I followed up with an emergency certification. Again, coordinating with the contractor performing the work to make sure that they install erosion and sediment controls. Same two conditions as the last one, just installing them and coordinating with me. And other than that, no questions or comments.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
None here.
All right. Can I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification, Carol Rotano, 119 French Street, Assessors Map 9, Lot 9?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We are ratifying those. I don't want to do them again.
Yeah, it's a ratification.
It was the third one that I got a little nervous about. All right. Agenda item D, violation notice. Jim Scally, 11 Heidendrick Road Drive, Assessors Map 2, Lot 19. Is there anybody here for this? Could you come up and state your name and provide any other details? Yep.
My name is James Scally.
So I can start this conversation off with, I had received a anonymous photo of some disturbance of wetlands. I went out to the site. There's a large leaf pile in a wetland area. There's about an 1,800 square foot section of the wetland that was just cut down. There was no fill or anything brought in. It was just a large leaf pile. Just to, I notified the homeowner of the nature of the violation, to cease and desist, putting any sort of lawn cuttings or leaves in there. And as the conditions say in the violation notice, just to rectify the situation, just to remove the leaf pile from the wetlands, keep it about 25 feet from the wetland area, out of the no disturb zone. I also noticed a pile of corrugated pipe in the wetlands, so just to remove that, again, keep it 25 feet out of the wetland area. And then after you remove the leaf pile, see if the area will naturally revegetate. It seems like there's species in there that will actively grow. So just check in with me, it's a July 2022, to see the success of the regrowth. And then if not, we might have to develop an actual planting plan, a restoration plan to bring that area back to life. But other than that, I would like to hear comments from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, so any questions or comments?
On picture photo number 2, is that a creek that runs through there, a stream? Or is this just a puddle?
So,
That looks like a little brook or something.
picture number what?
Number 2.
So that is a stream, but it's not, it's a stream.
Okay. So, I don't have any questions other than what you're requesting of the homeowner is to remove the pile and the corrugated pipe and see what happens 6 months from now and see if it revegetates on its own.
Yeah.
I mean, judging from the surrounding area, I'd be surprised if it didn't revegetate on its own.
It should.
Yeah.
Does it grow back every year?
I've been cutting it every year, and it grows back like beautiful, beautiful every year. Yeah, there's no problem with it growing back. The corrugated pipe has been removed off the site.
Okay.
Half the leaf pile is gone. I went down to the DPW to get permission to bring the leaves there, and they won't allow it. I don't know if there's any way where somebody higher up than just a normal person could ask. I got 25 bags right now in the cover to
Okay.
get rid of. So I don't know if there's any way I could drop that. I could physically transport it to the DPW, but I went down and spoke to the woman behind the counter, and she said I couldn't do it.
Where's the half that you've removed?
I'm sorry?
You said you removed half already?
Yes.
Is that just in your yard?
I have it 25 feet away from the,
Okay.
it's next to the house right now, under a top.
Okay.
Well, you might want to see if Waste Management will pick it up. Don't they have leaf pickup? I don't know if it's over.
Yeah, we have leaf pickup, but it's only certain times of the year. I forget.
But you might want to see if they have a special, if you
Oh,
call, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
try it and see what happens.
I'll give Waste Management a call on that.
I think it's Waste Management. I'm not really sure of the name of the company.
Could I get a copy of the wetlands paperwork so I can read up on it and understand where I went wrong?
On the wetland regulations?
Yes.
Sure.
Tewksbury bylaws. Where would
Yeah.
I get a copy of that?
You can coordinate with me and I can give it to you.
Okay.
the bylaws are also located online on the website, right?
Yes, they are on our website as well, but I have your email, so I can email you directly.
And would my property deed show me the limits of the existing wetlands where I need to be cautious of not to be anywhere. We walked in the back of the yard there, and there's that little stream there.
Yeah.
Is that part of the wetlands as well?
Absolutely.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, is it all of our GIS, or is it?
Yeah, there's online mapping tools that, again, I can provide you through an email,
Okay.
just so you can get an idea of where wetlands are. But as far as wetlands on your property, that where we walked, where the lawn transitions into that vegetation,
Yeah.
that transition is essentially the wetland boundary. So I can come out and put up flags for you if you'd like.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
So I just want to say that this was a violation notice, just because the homeowner was compliant, and so this it's not an enforcement order. I just want to see what happens in a few months from now, just to see how it revegetates and everything. So, but other than that, as long as the commission is okay with the conditions in the violation notice.
Yep. All right. How do we vote on this? Is it? It's a.
That's not. I'm just bringing it to your attention.
All right.
It's a formal vote.
It's just a conversation.
All right. All right. All right. If you don't have anything else to provide, then. you're-
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Agenda item E, public hearing, restoration plan, Hancock Associates of Marlborough, Massachusetts, 1022 South Street, Assessors Map 109, Lot 4. This was continued from the last meeting on December 15th. Is there anybody here for that?
You might think it's at 7.
Oh, yeah. All right, 18 minutes, so let's table that until
Yeah.
the end. Hopefully they make it in time, because this might prove to be a short meeting. All right, so agenda item F, public hearing, notice of intent, GCG Associates of Wilmington, Massachusetts, on behalf of the town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, 1475 and 1481 Main Street, Assessors Map, Lot 5960 and 59115 respectively. DP file number 3051152. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please state your names for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Kevin Hardiman. As you know, I'm the town engineer, here with John from GCG Associates. Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for seeing us about this. Basically, the project is construction of a sidewalk along Main Street from Colonial Drive to Victor Drive. Last year, we received a housing choice grant for the construction of this sidewalk, the amount of about $220,000. As you have seen on the plans, it is within the resource areas and buffer zones, which is why we're in front of the commission tonight. I'll let John go over the technical portion of it. But we look to hear any questions or concerns that the commission has. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as Kevin said, providing a walk along the street, it's provides safe access from the Wynn School all the way up to Victor Drive. There is an intermittent stream in a culvert, which is where the resource area is. We are real close to it, but we need to push the guardrail. There's a guardrail there currently, because as you can see, it's pretty steep. There's a parking lot, and then there's the culvert in the resource area in the wetlands. And we need to push the guardrail out a little bit and add in order to add the walk. We're installing erosion controls, where we needed, and yeah. So it's really not that big of a project.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
I just have a couple of questions. And the first question is, the guardrail going to be outside of the sidewalk or on the inside of the sidewalk?
Outside the sidewalk.
Okay, so,
So moving the granite curb, sidewalk, then the guardrail.
okay. Now, the guardrail, is there any way you can put something on the guardrail right at that creek? Like some type of netting or something? Because if you look down that creek, everything's blowing off the street and into that hole because there's shopping bags, paint cans, and so just to eliminate anything coming off the road in that 10 feet or 20 feet or whatever it happens to be, you know?
Yeah.
Is there any improvement to the guardrail, lower the guardrail, put some type of netting there or something?
Yeah, we can look at putting,
You know, a permanent one.
chain link fence or something behind that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, so the stuff doesn't blow down in there.
Yeah.
And you put, the retaining wall, is that going in the parking lot?
No, the retaining wall part of the project is outside the limits of the resource areas. It's further down, closer to Victor Drive.
Okay,
There is a head wall there where the culvert is.
right.
But no alterations are
Yeah,
proposed.
no
So
alterations.
there's no alterations to that parking lot for the Callahans or for Coyotes or something, but the guardrail is there. That was my main concern, was the guardrail, because somebody
Yeah,
coming around that corner, that's very dangerous. I've walked that.
yeah.
And it is very dangerous. It really does need the sidewalk, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your efforts in getting it done.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
So where would the netting or chain link fence be?
If you walk the guardrail and you just pass the pizza place, in between Coyotes and the pizza place, there's a creek or a culvert that's in there, and there's running water, and it's constantly running. So that 10 feet or 20 feet, whatever it happens to be, the chain link attached to the guardrail, because the stuff is blowing off the road and down into that culvert.
Well, I'm just thinking from like drafting it within an order of conditions, how would you describe it? Like with the location on the site plan? Do you guys know where that would be?
See where the green is?
Yeah, right, where it says, right?
Yeah.
I would say it's, when you look at the plan, it's probably 10 feet to either side of the center of that culvert.
Okay.
So if you install it.
Yeah.
That would vary based on where the poles for the guardrails are. You know, we may have to go beyond that with it, but that's probably the minimum that we would do is probably 10 feet to either side of that culvert.
Right, and like I said, it prevents any of the stuff coming from the street or falling off a truck, and because if you really go down and look in there, you know, I've waited for pizza outside, and I look down there and I say, oh, gee, there's a mess in there.
That's where it collects.
Yeah.
Okay. So just,
Any other questions or comments?
I'm good.
No? All right.
so the only, aside from that condition for the order of conditions, just our standard conditions, number 1 through 5 and 9 through 19. The others refer to detention basins, which wouldn't apply. Establish erosion and sediment controls as per the site plan, and coordinate with me to inspect the erosion and sediment controls prior to construction. So as long as the commission is okay with those 4 conditions.
Yep. And you guys are okay with those conditions?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. All right. It's always good to see extra sidewalks. That's one of the biggest complaints from residents is lack of sidewalks. So that's really great that we're seeing more of them installed, especially on Main Street and stuff.
I walked
I
into
just-
it, the people are flying.
Yeah.
I just have one more question. Who's going to maintain the shoveling of the sidewalks? Because it's a state road. Is the state going to maintain it, or is it town?
No, it's going to be the town's responsibility.
It's going to be the town's responsibility. Okay, thank you.
It's not a state sidewalk, apparently.
And the state will just let it melt. By the way, Shawshene Street's looking good.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is definitely well overdue, you know, all these sidewalks.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. this is a public hearing, so if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak on behalf of this, or not on behalf of this, but about this. Not seeing anybody, can I have a motion to close the public hearing for the notice of intent, GCG Associates of Wilmington, Massachusetts, on behalf of the town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, 1475. That's not a,
So moved.
all right. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. And now to approve, can I have a motion to approve the notice of intent, GCG Associates of Wilmington, Massachusetts, on behalf of the town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, 1475 and 1481 Main Street, Assessors Map, Lot 5960 and 59115, respectively, DP file number 3051152. Can I have a motion to that effect?
You're going to have the standard order conditions 1, 5, 9 through 19, and the additional fencing attached to the guardrail.
What are you thinking, like 10, 15 feet either way? I mean, whatever.
It's whatever you can come up with.
So with the standard order of conditions 1 through 5 and 9 through 19, and the expanded erosion controls.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. And I guess, do we have a time frame on when that order will be ready? We're hoping to get this out to bid to start construction as soon as the weather allows. So,
Yeah, I would anticipate tomorrow.
oh, excellent.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So you can get the snow on Saturday.
If you have time, no. No, we appreciate, we just know that the big thing we're up against is the vertical granite curbing. I've heard there's a long lead time in getting vertical granite curbing, so we want to make sure we get this sidewalk in as soon as we can, so.
Now, the paving of 38 is not going to affect,
It's not, so the paving of 38 is going to end at Colonial Drive as you're heading south, and then this sidewalk is going to start at Colonial Drive and head further south to Victor Drive. So this really ties in with that MassDOT project, where they're going to be redoing sidewalks from Archstone all the way down to Colonial Drive, and then we'll install this sidewalk to get us to Victor Drive, and then you have a sidewalk all the way down, to effectively to Wilmington, one side or the other.
okay.
Right?
Thank you very much. All right. Item G, public hearing, notice of intent, BSC Group of Worcester, Massachusetts, 337K137E and L138E transmission line right of way. DEP file number 3051151. Hello.
Hi, good
Please
evening.
introduce yourself to the record.
Allison Millman, BSC Group, here on behalf of New England Power. I'm here to present the soil borings project for another transmission line. This time it's the 337, K137E and L138E transmission line project. I've presented soil borings to the commission several times, so I'll try to be brief on my description, but we do have the existing transmission lines through the right-of-way where they're planning future maintenance, replacement of the structures, so they need to look at subsurface conditions in order to properly engineer those replacement structures. Portions of the right-of-way do run through bordering vegetated wetlands, and we have some stream crossings required, so they need to use the temporary construction mats in order to gain access to these locations. The soil boring itself is approximately 4 to 6 inches in diameter. All impacts associated with the work are temporary in nature. After the work is completed, the temporary construction mats will be pulled out of the wetland areas and will be allowed to revegetate to pre-existing conditions. For the most part, these wetlands are maintained in an emergent or shrub type wetland cover because they are under the existing utility lines.
right. Any questions or comments from commission or the agent?
So, this type of project has been brought forth to the Conservation Commission before. They seek limited project status under 310 CMR 10.533D for utility maintenance. So if the commission approves that, then, they are, they have to abide by the WPA to the maximum extent, or to a maximum extent, but to the best practical measures. I don't have any issues with the project. I would suggest to the Conservation Commission for the conditions of the order to be standard conditions number 1 through number 5 and number 9 through 19. And then for the special conditions, just monthly status reports, just to keep me in the loop of where you guys are at once it starts. And summarize any maintenance or installation of erosion and sediment controls. And then second special condition would be to just use the best management practices that you cited in the notice of intent, which is attachment F. Just to coordinate with me once construction first begins, just so I know when you guys kick off and I know that it's happening. And I know you typically already do this when you include it in the certificate of compliance, but just a photo document once the soil boring and construction mat areas have been restored, once you have lifted it up, essentially.
Okay. Now, do you want photos immediately after mat removal, or would you like them we typically will put them in a photo log for the commission when we request the certificate of compliance? So we wait until we reach that 75%.
Yeah.
Cover.
That's sure. And then, is there a SWIP required for this?
No.
Okay. So, other than that, I have no questions or comments.
Joe, one of the problems I've heard about is when they go in to chip the wood, they leave it on the ground, and we had a big fire right underneath the power lines. I don't know how many years ago it was. I remember I was at Jimbo's restaurant. It was right. So you're going to go in and grind, chip all the wood there?
They will have to mow in some locations where the brush is thick in order to gain access for the soil borings. So yeah, they do mow, and you're right that the material is left on the soil surface.
Well, I just see a problem with the wood chips.
So is there an issue to remove the wood chips?
I guess the question is, where would they move them to?
How much is actual mowing versus just laying down construction mats?
So the mowing, they won't mow in the wetlands per se. That if they need to do anything, they'll just do some hand trimming of some larger shrubs. They can typically just put the mats right down in the wetland. But upland areas, buffer zones, they will, where it's thick, they do need to mow in order to get in there.
You know what I was thinking? If you want to go down to fire department, I don't know, just check with them, because it was, like I said, I was at Jimbo's and restaurant, and I believe, I don't know, the wire come down or something. But the fire department could give you more information about it.
Okay.
This sounds like kind of a larger discussion maybe about the 5-year vegetation management that happens too, because they do go through every 5 years to maintain the vegetation under the lines. So this is kind of a reoccurring, this management of the vegetation happens regardless of project activities.
Right. I generally agree that it's a larger than this project, but
Well, I would say it might be up to you to monitor it and see what you think. Or, just a pile of wood chips sitting will go off. I don't mean, a big pile. But like I said, it was a pretty serious fire, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've never seen the wood chips. I've only seen the flattened wetland vegetation due to the construction mats. But, I mean, is there a substantial amount of wood chips?
It depends on how thick the existing vegetation is, so, when they go in and they use the mower, if it's woody, woody shrubs or whatever, everything, everything does get left in place. And part of the reason for that is because they don't want to also spread invasive species, so, they try to leave their debris where it is existing so that they're not spreading any kind of seeds or anything like that throughout the right-of-way.
Well, maybe an easy solution is don't pile it, just spread it.
I was just going to say that.
So we can request that, if, not leave piles of wood
Sure.
chips from mowing activities in buffer zones.
Correct, yeah. Dennis, would that be sufficient?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
like I say, you'll have to monitor it and see what you think, because you'll be,
yeah. I mean, if the fear is a wire coming down and catching something on fire, I feel like, it's not just the wood chips that would cause the fire. But I can, I guess, in addition to the conditions I wrote in this document, we can add a condition just to spread the wood chips.
Yeah.
And I can temporarily monitor.
And then when they have their landscaping preview, we can go through it again.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
When you do your 5-year plan there on your vegetation management or whatever, we can have that discussion also at that time.
That's not something I don't believe that's something that comes in front of the commission. I believe it's a letter that's provided to the town. That's my understanding.
I was going to ask, when is the next one going to happen?
I can find out and let you know. It's on a cycle that I'm not,
Yeah.
it's required, it's required by the federal regulations that they maintain every 5 years at the minimum in order to make sure that larger growing trees don't catch on fire and also fall on top of the lines.
I have overhead lines, so I get random visits from people just cutting down and, kind of buzzing my yard. So I know the general practice of it.
Yeah.
So the fire that you mentioned, though, that was from a wire that came down?
I honestly don't know. I've forgotten it, probably over 5 years ago,
Okay.
maybe
But-
even longer, but
But the mulch can start random fires.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a common thing.
Well, that's if it's left in a pile,
Yeah.
but if
Well,
it's
you know-
spread, it doesn't.
I mean, you got kids on bikes, motorbikes out there riding, it's hot weather, sparks flying or whatever,
Okay, so condition to spread the mulch, or to spread it thin and monitor for now?
Yeah, I would say, you'd have to monitor it, see what,
I mean, once it revegetates, I'm not sure how I would actually,
I think
that's deep in there.
as soon as it revegetates, I
Yeah.
think the issue is solved. The problem is if you have a pile of mulch, mulch itself, just the heat will generate heat and, but if it's spread, I don't see an issue,
I think that's reasonable.
Sure.
We have inspectors that go out once a week, Joe, so if you want, we can add that into our,
Sure.
and send you photos if that kind of helps out.
Yeah, I think that's, them doing the inspection would be more reasonable and practicable than me going out there once a week to check it. So, not that I wouldn't want to be out there, but.
Yeah, I was going to suggest either you, until when the project's closing, go out again, but either method is perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? This is a public hearing, so if there's anybody from the public who would like to stand up and talk, and not seeing anybody rise up, I will, can I have a motion to close the public hearing Notice of Intent, BSC Group of Worcester, Massachusetts, 337, K137E, and L138E transmission line right-of-way, which extends in a general southwesterly direction from the substation at 205 Washington Street, Assessor's Map, Lot 4934, toward the Tewksbury-Billerica Town boundary near Farwood, Assessor's Map, Lot 772, DP file number 3051151. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and now, I'm going to do my best to get this correct. Could I have a motion to approve the notice of intent for BSC Group of Worcester, Massachusetts, 337, K137E, and L138E transmission line right-of-way, which extends in a general southwesterly direction from the substation at 205 Washington Street, Assessor's Map, Lot 4934, toward the Tewksbury-Billerica Town boundary near Farwood Road, Assessor's Map, Lot 772, DB file number 3051151, with the standard order of conditions 1 through 5 and 9 through 19, and the special conditions of monthly reports, best management practices from attachment F, coordinating with the conservation agent, and photos of the, I'm blanking on the term, photos of the restoration, and to spread any mulch so they are, so it's not in piles that could catch fire. Could I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we're still waiting on the Hancock Associates for the restoration plan, but we do have agenda item I, wetland protection funds. Do you want to speak on behalf of that?
No, we're still on H, I thought.
Yeah, you just want to announce it's.
Oh, I'm sorry, I marked off the wrong ones. All right, yeah, we're on H, public hearing. There's nobody, they're choosing to continue to.
Yeah, to the 19th, yep.
Yeah, all right. Can I have a motion to continue the notice of intent, Vanessa Hangen Breslin, Inc., VHB, on behalf of the Town of Tewksbury, Department of Public Works, Bayberry Lane, Assessor's Map 71, DEP file number 3051143.
That's a motion to continue?
Yes.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. That has been moved to the next meeting.
I keep seeing Mr. Hardeman sitting there, and I'm going, isn't he here for this one?
To the-
So if the,
Did we just do that too quickly?
no.
Or did I do that too
No.
quickly?
Thank you. Just to clarify on that, we are requesting a continuance. Earlier this week, we resolved all our issues or addressed all the comments that DEP had for the project. But during the process of the emergency repair, we found that the two culverts that we were intending to use for the water bypass during construction, one of them was totally collapsed and the other one was partially collapsed. So now we have to take a step back and figure out a way to get the stream from one side of the head wall to the other during construction, because those aren't viable options. So we do respectfully request a continuance
Okay.
to give us a little time to figure that out.
We already voted on that, right?
Yeah,
Set the
so,
continuance. I was just curious why he was still sitting there.
So
likes us.
There's something to discuss under new business.
Oh, okay.
all right.
All right.
All right, so wetland protection funds.
Yeah, I have nothing for this meeting. It'll likely be continued to the 19th. I was going to bring up some classes or some training.
All right, and that will just, you don't have them officially.
I just, I don't have the documentation to show you guys.
All right. That's pretty standard, so I don't see anything wrong with that, but we will, do we even have to continue that?
No.
Yeah, all right. Any old business?
No.
No? But there is some new business.
There is some new business, so if you want to take that. Evan, sorry, I forgot. So I wanted to discuss this regulatory citation. It comes up a lot. It's a utility exemption. So in the WPA, which is on the second page, which I attached, there's an exemption for activities conducted to maintain, repair, or replace, but not substantially change or enlarge an existing and lawfully located structure or facility used in the service of the public and used to provide electric, gas, water, sewer, telephone, telegraph, and other communication services, provided said work utilizes the best practical measures to avoid or minimize impacts to wetland resource areas outside the footprint of said structure or facility. So our bylaw on the first page that I highlighted, it seems like it was meant to mirror that citation, because it says maintaining, repairing, or replacing, but not substantially changing or enlarging an existing and lawfully located building or facility used in the service of the public to provide electric, gas, water, telephone, or other telecommunication services. So the issue with this bylaw as it's written, it seems like the intent of it was to mirror the WPA citation, but it just left out sewer in that list of utilities. So WPA mentions sewer as an exemption, and our bylaw, for whatever reason, does not include sewer within that. To me, it's left up to interpretation, and it seems like it was just missing one term in a list of utilities. It kind of seems reasonable if you're going to allow exempt work for gas, water, electric, etc. I don't see why you wouldn't include sewer within that list.
Well, it should be.
So, but that's how the bylaw was written, but but like I said, it seems like it was meant to mirror the WPA citation. So I just wanted to discuss how I should be interpreting that as the agent.
Well, I would interpret it as it's a public utility, and as far as I know, sewerage is a public utility. Well, at least in my book it is, because you have water, and what's in the sewer? Water. That's how I would interpret that it should be included.
Yep.
I don't know what anybody else's opinion is, but, water means a number of different things. It's water in, water out. And that's pretty basic in my book.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And, there's a bylaw rewrite committee going on, and I believe they're going to be tackling the wetlands, our bylaw, the wetlands bylaw first. So I think whenever that happens, I don't know what the status is, but we could, just codify it that much more and make sure it either matches or do whatever we need to do to make sure that it's stated explicitly. But I think, it does qualify for that, anyways. Like, if it said drinking water, then maybe we'd have a bigger issue, but it just says water. So I'm good.
Well, even when you get down to item 4 there, it says maintenance of town drainage system. Sewer is a drain, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a public utility.
Right.
So
I don't have a problem with it. How do you interpret it? That's how I would
yeah, so
interpret it.
all I wanted to do was make sure that the commission made the decision on how I should interpret.
Sure.
Okay, that's fine.
So actually, just to clarify this, at the bottom of this citation, it also says provided that the work conforms to the performance standards and design specifications and regulations adopted by the commission. So again, I don't interpret that to mean the performance standards as in the 25-foot and 50-foot, no disturb, no build zone. I don't think it's obviously not meant to conform to those standards. And I think,
I agree with you.
yeah, so yeah, as long as everyone's okay that I can interpret, okay.
Yeah, total agreement.
So in addition, a lot of times replacing water lines, for example, they will abandon the water line in place, but just put in a new water line.
Yep.
So the old one's no longer working, but it's still there beneath the subsurface. So I interpret this as, although they're putting in a new line, they're abandoning another one in place, so it's technically a replacement and would fall under this exemption as well. I think we had a similar project for Assel Street where they actually did an RDA. I wasn't sure how the commission was going to vote. I was new at the time, so I think for now, I think it's reasonable to interpret installing a new water line as a replacement if the existing one is going to be abandoned in place. As long as the commission also thinks that way.
Yeah. When you get a kidney replacement, they keep the kidney in there. They don't take it out, they just add an extra one, from my understanding. So I'm totally cool with that interpretation. Mr. Walsh, do you have anything you'd like to share on this subject?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. The only question I would have about leaving the water line in place, does the material matter, like asbestos concrete pipe, leaving that in place? Because all the other ones doesn't really matter. That would be my only question.
I don't know if it matters from a Conservation Commission perspective.
Because typically they leave asbestos concrete in, but I'm not sure within conservation land or within our jurisdiction, if that matters too, just over time. Because typically there's going to be more damage pulling that out than leaving it in. That's why they do it. But I wasn't sure within the wetlands if it's going to have any seepage issues over time remaining in there. That'd be just something to look into. But I also agree that on the previous comment that sewage should be included under that bylaw jurisdiction. I think it was just missed out from our own bylaws, but sewer is definitely important. If you kind of remove that and make people do more work, it's only going to cost the townpayers more money. At the end of the day,
I guess I wouldn't see the issue unless it's in a wetland, but then the alternative is if you were to rip it out, then that causes more damage to the wetland. So I guess it's just
I would say like asbestos concrete, I would just take on a case-by-case basis. Everything else I would kind of say is fine to leave in and consider that a replacement.
So I guess, Kevin, can you say anything to the amount of asbestos pipe material that there isn't, that you're aware of? Or I know I think this came out on Assel Street as well.
So currently we've got probably about 52 miles of asbestos cement pipe in town, which is down probably close to 10 miles since I started here about 8 years ago. So we're aggressively going after the removal of that or the abandonment of that. DEP has regulations where they prefer it to stay in the ground because as soon as you disturb it, now it's a hazardous waste. It has to be dealt with, has to be disposed of properly. The pipe that we do have is, I'd say 99.9% of it is under the roadway. It doesn't traverse cross-country through a wetland. And then you also have to remember, right now that water line is being used for drinking water, and it's safe for drinking water. So with it being in the ground, there's very little, very little damage it can do to wetlands, if any. It's just it's a natural material that's underground. it's, surrounded by soil and it's just going to stay there in perpetuity. It doesn't break up on its own and migrate.
So we could take it as a case-by-case basis if there potentially is something that is going straight through a wetland and we know for a fact that it's, leaking something, we could tell them. We don't have to make the decision right now that it's either all in or all out. Am I understanding that correctly? And we're going to tend towards, let's keep it where it is because it's overall safer to, it's not hurting anything right now. Let's keep it where it is and not worry about it, but not cause additional issues by taking it out.
So the only thing I would say to that is if it were to be a case-by-case basis, when would be a case where it would be brought to the commission? And not...
Well, everything has to get brought to the commission if it's going through conservation land or within the buffer, within our jurisdiction.
But if they fall under an exemption, it's in the bylaw.
They still have to come forward and make sure that the exemption is approved by the Conservation Commission as well. That's why we had one of those cases today. I just had to do that in Lowell 2 weeks ago for one of our water projects. You still have to go forward with those exemptions and get them approved, as far as I'm aware.
I don't know if that, I'll have to check, but I'm pretty sure that, if they fall they have to prove, yes, you're right that they have to prove that they are exempt, but I'm not sure about whether they have to schedule a meeting with the Conservation Commission or not. I'll have to check. But
So why did we have the one case with the National Grid today then?
Well,
if they didn't have to prove anything.
Just
or
right
come
now?
forward.
Right now?
Yeah. Earlier today.
Because they weren't exempt. The soil borings might be exempt, but they're still traversing through wetlands, so that's what triggers them to come to us. So they weren't exempt.
If you're doing any water replacement project, you would have to go through that wetland or within our jurisdiction to do any replacement of the water line, even if it does fall under the exemption, because you're traversing through that land under that same logic.
Yeah, I think they would still have to come here, but I think we're more or less talking about the abandonment of the old pipe and just leaving it in the ground versus
Correct.
digging it up. I mean, I wouldn't open up a can of worms if, you never know what the worms are going to do.
I guess I'll check with our DEP circuit rider on that, see if that is the case. Because my understanding was if you are exempt and you provide a cover letter or something to prove that you are exempt, and if the regulatory citation says you do not need to file a permit, to me, I interpret that as they wouldn't need to come to the Conservation Commission, but again, I'll double check.
All right, yeah. You'll check with the circuit rider?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan going forward. They can provide additional insight into this process.
So I guess when would be a case where I guess I'll check in on that and then we'll talk about it at our next meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Any other new business?
I have none.
Administrators' reports?
Nope.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Wait.
All those in favor?
Wait. Didn't we skip over one item because we were supposed to wait for people, but they never showed up?
Oh,
Yeah, that one.
We have to continue that?
yes, that's the restoration plan. That's a public hearing, so we will continue that, I guess. All right, so forget about that adjournment. Could I have a motion to continue the restoration plan, Hancock Associates of Marlborough, Massachusetts, 1022 South Street, Assessors Map 109, Lot 4, to the next Conservation Commission meeting on January 19th, 2022?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, and now could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Next meeting's at 6:30.
Yeah.
Have a good one.